Hello and welcome, all you beautiful, radiant, and lovely souls. It's Sapphire here. Hope you're doing amazing. Um, Happy post solar eclipse. I hope you're all handling it well and using it as a time for peace and reflection and a portal of transformation and manifestation. Today, I'm going to talk briefly about the current astrological happenings before I get into the main thrust of today's topic, being your true, authentic self and connecting and aligning with your higher self and reclaiming and stepping into your power. All right. Before I get into it, please take a moment to like the video, comment below if you feel called. Subscribe and turn on the bell if this content resonates with you and you would like to see more like it. And even donate if you feel called. Namaste. All right. So yeah, I'd just like to begin with kind of my experiences and insights around recent astrological events and happenings. As you probably know, we're still in Pluto and Aquarius, and will be for nearly 20 years. What that means is it's a big time for collective changes, shifts, transformations. It's about the major things going on with the collective more so than it is at the individual level. But what is the collective but a bunch of us individual people that make it up, right? Um, so yeah, it relates to the structure of society, but also the kind of technological advancements that are going on as well. Um, Pluto was last in Aquarius during the French Revolution, the American Revolutionary War, and also the Industrial Revolution. It's a big choice point, especially now given our current state of events. It's a big choice point for humanity to choose the choose oligarchy and power over versus collective power, bottom up power. Um, so it's a big choice point in time for humanity, and also definitely there's a technological revolution going on as well, especially with AI, the rise of AI, and the rise of green technology, at least in all countries that aren't the US and Russia, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll get there. Green renewable energies is having a big boom, and that couldn't be coming at a better time than now. Um, yeah, and then we had a bunch of planets that lined up in the night sky in late February. Now, it wasn't an alignment as you might think, like a perfect alignment of all the planets. Mercury down to Neptune or Pluto. No, that's not how it was. It was just an apparent alignment of the planets in the night sky. But it was as if the universe, as if Source or the universe, the planets were saying, look up, pay attention to what's going on. And then we had the lunar eclipse earlier this month. At least for me, especially because I'm a Virgo and it was a lunar eclipse in my sign, Virgo, it felt like a big time of release and change and transformation for me. Like, purge out what no longer serves me. And that's the thing, because even as recently as this weekend, it was still bringing up stuff that needed to be let go and released fully. So it's powerful both in a positive and negative way, especially for Virgos. But it brought to the surface all the things that no longer serve us and we don't wish to take with us into the next chapter. But, you know, full moons tend to do that for any sign as well, but it just felt like so much exaggerated, really. And the lunar eclipse is also, you know, a big time of reflection for humanity as a whole, for collective, because, you know, it's a time where we're shown like a mirror of ourselves. Like we see the beautiful aspects, but also the ugly aspects that we don't like. See, we'd rather not pay attention to, but we need to pay attention to for our collective growth. So, showing us all those hidden truths and exposing lies and deceits, and but it's for the betterment of all of us. We see it, we can recognize it, and we can do something about it. And then the big shebang, the big event that happened on the morning of Saturday, the 29th, the partial solar eclipse, in Aries. Wow, there's just so much I could say about that as well. It's definitely been a weird one for me because it hasn't been a time of like amazing, earth shattering, huge transformational, whoa, expose everything, the veil's coming off, and big transformation type of event for me. So it did not live up to the hype, but maybe I overhyped what the partial solar eclipse would be like for me and what it would mean. Um, but that being said, it was pretty profound in its own right. And that's the thing. I was listening to other astrologers, tarot readers, things like that, and they were saying, you know, if you've already done the inner work, you've already had some kind of, you know, life revelation or transformation, you've already done some major inner work, you're probably not going to see much happening in the partial solar eclipse. You know, you've already done the work, you've already had the insights, you already have the answers, so the universe is not going to keep giving answers, you know? You have what you need to work with, just go ahead and go forth and work with it. And that makes perfect sense, right? But aside from that, like the partial solar eclipse, especially because it's also lining up with the new moon, um, is a great time for manifestation. It's it's a time for quiet and reflection, but it's also a time for transformation and manifestation. And the fact that it's a partial solar eclipse is also something unique. I feel like it's showing us that we have some of the answers. We have some of what we need to carry forth us into the next chapter in our lives and collectively. But we don't have all the answers. And that's okay. We don't need to have all the answers. A lot of it is still in the dark, remains unknown, right? But we don't need to have all the answers. We will get the answers as we go and change and grow and transform, right? And the other thing that struck me about the partial solar eclipse is that, it leaves a bit of light exposed. Yeah, most of the sun is covered up, but then you have this bright disk on the outside. I feel like I mean, at least for me, but I think for a lot of people, I feel like it's a way of burning away the old, if you will, burning away the old and the current selves, to make way for the new, more powerful, higher vibration self. Um, but it's also, at least for the collective, it's also another choice point. Do we wish to stay in the dark and in fear, or do we wish to step in the light? Do we wish to reclaim and step into our power and step into the power of light, love, and peace, or go in the dark? But I choose light. I choose light, love, and peace, and I hope you all do the same as well. Um, and then we also have Neptune moving into Aries. So that's another interesting thing that's happening right in the wake of the partial solar eclipse, right? So Neptune moving into Aries. Neptune's a planet um, of dreams, intuition, spirituality, and the sign that it's moving into is Aries, a sign of fire, passion, drive. Let's go get things done. Um, Neptune moving into Aries is kind of saying, live the dream, go out there and live the dream. And it's also big spiritual warrior energy. Live in your authentic, spiritually aligned, higher vibration, higher self. Step into that power and go out there into the world and be a force for good. And then you have Saturn moving into Pisces at the same time as well. Now, it's only going to move into Pisces briefly, though. Saturn's moving into Pisces briefly, then moving back in Aries. I feel like that's really key, especially in the wake of the partial solar eclipse. It's giving us a time for pause, reflection. We'll put on the brakes just for a bit. Saturn is the planet of structure, rules, discipline, and moving into Pisces. Pisces is the planet of like dreaminess. I mean, not planet. Sorry, constellation. It's a constellation ruled by dreaminess, creativity, but also deceptions. So what that means, Saturn moving into Pisces, it's kind of shining a big spotlight on any lies and deceptions and things that are going to be that we don't want to carry into the next chapter of what we're going through. At least the deception part of that. The creativity part, let's let it thrive as long as it is aligned with inner truth and the truth of love. That's great. But any kind of lies and deceptions and manipulations, we're showing the spotlight here, and we're showing what we need to cast away. And then the 31st, tomorrow, or today if you're watching, is the resurrection of Venus as a morning star and and we're transitioning into the new Kali Yuga cycle. But let's first talk about Venus as a rising morning star now. So the resurrection of Venus as a morning star, it was an evening star, went into the dark, and now rising as a morning star. I feel like it has two really big meanings here. The one that really stands out to me is the rise of the feminine, the rise of the divine feminine, and the rise of the feminine in the collective. Really, really boosting and amping up that feminine energy. which, in light of current events, I just feel like that is so necessary right now. Um, but it's really going to empower us, especially us feminine, us ladies, to really step into our power and not take shit from the patriarchy, to fight back, frankly. Not in a violent way, but in a stand our ground way. And the other big meaning of resurrection of Venus as a morning star, Venus is also a planet of communication and relationships. Um, I feel like it's going to allow us to move into the light in terms of interpersonal relationships and, um, step into moving from a place of love. And yeah, that's all about all I want to say about that. Um, and then also at this same time, from around the spring equinox, which was also a big event for me personally and collectively. I'm sure the spring equinox was big for all you guys as well. But gosh, when the sunrise came up on the 21st, I was just hit with this wave of peace and serenity, but also just vibrant, warm energy from the sun. And it wasn't just, like the sunrise, like, it's warmer and brighter. Yeah, but it just felt like it was warming up my and energizing my whole soul too, like all my insides and my soul, my third eye. Like it was something. It's just really powerful. And but yeah, to go back to the Kali Yuga cycle, um, from the spring equinox to roughly like this time, that's when it hit. That's when the Kali Yuga officially made this shift, from the old to the current, to the new Kali Yuga cycle. And what that means, at least what I've gathered from other astrologers and spiritualists, is that the Kali Yuga cycle is showing us that, uh, sorry, this transition of the Kali Yuga cycle is we're moving from a place of power over fear, domination, um, and those paradigms, the paradigms of the patriarchy and domination and power over. We're moving from that to the power of love and community and collective, and empowering the collective. So we're moving away from the love of power, right, to stepping into the power of love. That's what this Kali Yuga shift is inviting us to bring into our own personal lives and into the collective more broadly. And if we choose to accept that, we can make that happen. We just have to come together and make it happen. And I feel like the surges of power, the surges of energy that are coming from the galactic center, even, just regular scientific astronomers have been taking notice of this. But, the astrology is putting the spiritual meaning and significance into it. They're taking note of this. And this is happening at the same time the Kali Yuga cycle is shifting to this more empowering, power of love energy. It's amazing. Couldn't come at a more perfect time. It's like it's meant to be by the universe. Sorry about that. But yeah, also if you'd like to learn more about Pluto and Aquarius, I do already have a video about that. Now, the title of that is Let's Get Serious About Self Care in the Time of Pluto and Aquarius. And in all the crazy, chaotic shifts that that's bringing in and of itself, but also what's going on already. Just, to remain stoic and centered and grounded and love yourself and take care of yourself. That's what that video is all about. And I super encourage you to check that one out. Okay, finally to the main topic of discussion for this video. Be yourself. Let's talk about just being your true authentic self. First, I want to talk about what used to be what still is a favorite song of mine. It's by the alternative rock band from the late 90s, 2000s, by the name of Audioslave, kind of an alternative rock supergroup with the late Chris Cornell as the head. Rest in peace. um, but yeah, the title of that song is Be Yourself. Be yourself is all that you can do. And yeah, the message of that song in a nutshell is be unafraid to be the most authentic version of yourself, regardless of what others think. And don't even just do it for yourself, right? Do it for others, do it for the world. The world needs authenticity and genuine connection, especially in this digital age when rapid connection around the world is possible, yet so many of us are feeling more lost, lonely, and disconnected than ever. Shine your unique light in the world and hold space for others to do the same. And as long as the energies are good and they resonate with each other, let each other's energies frolic, intermingle, and dance. So, and I'd like to paraphrase another creative person, Eddie Pinero, the motivational speaker, Eddie Pinero. Better at being who I am. You can sometimes get good at forgetting you're in a place that you don't belong. Recently I can speak to that so well. I've just been stuck in a job that I didn't feel fulfilled in, didn't feel aligned with. Energy felt all whack with that one, right? Um, you know, it just didn't feel fulfilling, and I'm so glad that I broke ties with that. I chose to accept a job offer that does align. So back to this, we can become masters of forgetting our true essence, champions of rationalization. You can somehow, somewhere lose yourself along the way. Concession after concession can ultimately put you in a place where you don't know who you are and where you're going, and where you can know something isn't quite right, and still slowly and subtly it creeps in and it can consume our reality. It can happen in a relationship, in a job you don't want to do, but hanging in there just one more day turns into more days than you can count. Um, it can be the it can be the business decision for a short term gain that ultimately points you in a direction you don't want to go in. Giving life to that phrase, I've come too far to turn back now. Life is like a small child, always gently tugging on his mom's sleeve to get her to stop what she's doing and get some ice cream. It's a temptation to move away from the task at hand, to abandon the principles just slightly, the objectives just enough that they'll be pulled off track. The lesson isn't just about authenticity, about being your authentic self, but rather that so much around us is looking to take that authenticity and subtly over time transform it into something that's not real and authentic anymore. That if we're not aware of who we are, we will lose who we are. A lot of times, in fact, most of the time, it won't even be deliberate or conscious. It wasn't one swing of the axe. It was letting yourself slip away one day at a time. Um, it it's the pressure of an infinite number of things, the billions of choices you have pulling you in all kinds of different directions. It's people in your life that may have different incentives than you. It's that deep biological tendency to want to appear like you're winning now. Um, it's your brain telling you to just do what the crowd does because the alternative creates pain and friction. It's not wanting to let others down because you want to be you want to be their source of happiness, completely forgetting that an empty cup has nothing to offer. It's this deception online, the highlight reels, the humble brags, and exaggerated success stories, all prompting us to say, well, that I must have miscalculated. My path must be the wrong path. Maybe you don't come to this realization and immediately jump ship, but we take in a little water every day. Every time we open an app and feel lesser because of an impossible standard, every time we put the thing that meant something to us on hold for someone else, every time we choose to chase the shiny object in exchange for what we expect will be short-term validation. But shut everything off and be alone with yourself a little while. You very likely may have a very good sense of who you really are and what you're meant to do in your gut. It's only when the chaos creeps in that the target can get a little blurry and the goal further away. You get nothing in life without some semblance of trust. You have to take some time in life to discover and understand who you are and trust yourself. Trust yourself to build that from the ground up. Without that, you will get swept up by the currents of life. But to know what matters in your world and to hold on to it with conviction, that's what it's all about. That's what makes life worth living. Now, we all have our unique struggles and challenges that life throws our way, whether that be loneliness, isolation, houselessness, addiction or substance abuse, heartbreak, death of a loved one, mental illness, even unaliving. We also have our own unique joys and treasures, big or small, that life blesses us with, whether that be love, companionship. Everyone also has a unique perspective of life that is partially dependent on our nature, our biological hardwiring, partially dependent on our nurture, our background and upbringing in the environment we find ourselves in, and partially dependent on our conscious choices. Some may see love, joy, compassion, and kindness in everyone they meet, while others may see only pain. Some want little more than solitude, while others want lifelong love and companionship, and are plenty of good friends. Uh, sorry, and or plenty of good friends and family, and still others choose to run away from the ones who love us and break their hearts. And then again, you may feel like you've done your time and paid your dues, been pulled in all kinds of directions or held back in life. But through every single memory of the good or bad and faces of love, just have faith that everything will be all right. You may win or lose, but to be yourself is all that you can do. Sorry if that was a little corny. So much of what life throws at us, and especially what is outside of the realm of our own lives, is outside of our control, right? Um, but we should take responsibility for what is under our control. And what is under our control is what we choose to do with the blessings and the ingredients that life provides us with. And what we choose to do is a reflection of who we identify as, right? I accept things that I cannot change, and I change the things that I cannot accept. And I have the wisdom to know the difference. Through it all, at the end of the day, all we can really do with any truth and any authenticity and any efficacy is to be ourselves. And if you don't like the image you see in the mirror, if you're not living your truth and being authentically yourself, that is one more thing you can control and you can change. I am what I choose to become, which is dependent on what I choose to focus on and how I choose to spend my time and what I choose to create and bring into the world. And I'm encouraging you all to think on this for a bit and reflect if you've been living your authentic true self, if you've been living in that reality. If not, I'm inviting you to think on it. Think on who you want to be. Think on what you want your life to be about, what you want the legacy of your life to be, and think on what you want to do with your life. And once you've done that thinking, that planning, that drafting, cut away everything that's not aligned with that. And fully reclaim and step into your power. I'm inviting you all to live your most authentic and highest self. I'm doing that, and I know you all can do it too. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I hope you guys got an amazing, powerful, profound message that will spur change out of it. Thank you. Namaste. Be well, everybody.